Okay, so I already. Hello. So I already started. My name is blvksite. My name is Justin. I make music under several names, one of which is blvksite. Um, so what we're looking at is a track I made, and I mixed it down. I stemmed it out to individual stems, and then I started bussing stuff. So I don't usually bus until the mix down stage. And then I'll start doing like processing on the buses if I really want. But I do a lot of individual processing on my tracks. So I find that like I'm not looking to add something in my bass in the mix down stage because I don't like to fix stuff like that at the mix down stage. Um, I want to mix it down. So I'm going to play it, turn my mic off, and I'm going to just show you how I start organizing some of the stems after I bring them in. The long ones. I already did the top section up here, just chopping out little silent pieces and, fixing some kick irregularities. Like this kick was hitting a little bit. Sometimes when you bounce something from MIDI to audio, it will be asymmetrical. It won't be even every kick. And so I find a kick I like, and then if that clip is asymmetrical, and I feel like it needs to be way more consistent. For example, this track, the kick needs to be very consistent. We're not going for a burial or like something underground where some kicks hit low and some kicks hit high. These kicks need to hit at the same RMS and DBFS always. And so I fixed that. I chopped the claps out, shaker, some of the shaker fills. I was just chopping the hats, and I'm just gonna play it from the beginning while I start editing this stuff, so you guys can hear kind of what it sounds like. Um, just the master that I made on this. So a lot of this was just stuff from Splice that I kind of arranged in different ways and played around with. But as you'll see, at the mixing stage, I add a little bit of compression to that kick, bust the hi-hats, the drums. I'm going to start doing some stuff, and I'll show you that. Some examples. I mean, what is this? The snare. I noticed it was kind of sticking out in certain ways against other tracks, so I controlled that. But all of this stuff, I mean, I did at the mixing stage. So add a little bit more of the dynamics, the upper harmonics, I mean, because I saturated that bass previously. The sub clean, you know, woodwinds, chords. All right, so background vocals, I cut a little bit out. I scooped them, and you'll know why, because there's a lot of layers. And so what's going on with this stab right here is I'm actually changing the delay and the width over the 25 to 41. This section right here. Or no, this section, I apologize. Right here, the 25 to 33. That's automated, and it's not in here, but it's really moving. And here, here, let me see if I can break out the you know what? We're focusing on mastering today, mixing and mastering. So I'll do another video on that later. But I have some forest rain sounds in here and whatever. So I'm gonna turn everything off on my mastering chain, and I'm gonna walk you through the decisions I made. But the first thing about this track you'll notice when it's playing, it's already got a decent RMS and LUFS if we're talking about mastering. And I like to start when I'm talking about mastering to get all the stems or the track to somewhere in this negative 21 to 19 range. I feel comfortable doing that. That's about the loudest I want to start off with, unless we're going for some crazy volume. But I find that my songs, the mix can be somewhere in the negative 6 LUFS range. And that's when I'm trying to go for like loud techno. And then some of my burial, like kind of UKG tracks, I actually want this, not the integrated, hold on. I want this true P, no, not true, where's DBF? Current DB, there we go. I want the current DB on the drop to be somewhere like, when I start mixing, like this is negative 8, 9, kind of floating around. If I make a burial track, I want my master to be hitting at like negative 18 when I mix it. Because what I want to do is I want to pull those stems out and I want to gain them up and I want the noise floor in there. So the quieter, I just want to explain this real quick, so I'll stop it. But think about this, the more noise floor you want in your tracks, produce quieter. So if you're trying to get those like weird Aphex Twin burial type sounds, then what you want to do is you want to go and make sure that your LUFS are hitting at the right place. Your current DB is hitting at the right place. Whatever you feel comfortable using as a metric that you can, it's like, I feel like it's lifting, it's like how when people lift weights and they start understanding that it's like about connecting literally your mind to that muscle. Like if I'm working biceps, like I want to activate that bicep properly. Like it's the same way with us hearing. Like you want to use a metric a volume metric, but make it your own. Understand how you feel comfortable with certain LUF values. Listen to a bunch of tracks with the different LUF values and get set up. And do the same thing with whatever, RMS. You can come over here. RMS is something, I'd say RMS and current dB are something that I picked up real quick. And then I want to say true peak, I can't hear that shit. But RMS, I can definitely pick out like the differences between two songs, and one has a higher RMS. Even though they're peaking at the same place, right? The current dB might be louder on one song, but the RMS is louder on the second song, so the second song is louder. But that's what we're going for. So the vibe of this track, I didn't want it to be super loud, so that's kind of what I was aiming for. I was aiming for this kind of range, negative 19 to 21, and that's probably what I aim for on most of my clients, unless it's someone like Stooks, who wants, like, it's a hard techno track, like a very loud techno track. And then some of my clients, like maybe like Saint Mark, he might ask for a little bit less on the LUFs because he's making a kind of like sampled disco track, so he kind of wants to sound more 70s, and those LUFs values are way lower than what we are now in 2022. But overall, we're just going to go through this master chain real quick. So I turned it on. I'm going to turn everything off one by one. So the L1 and the Pro L at the end are doing a lot. These Pro Cs, I like to do... This track, I was really going for like a serial compression kind of sound. And so this utility's not doing anything, so I'm just going to delete it. Sausage Fattener. Wait, hold on. Was I gain staging? No. Oh, I know what was happening. Sometimes I'll put a utility behind Sausage Fattener and just use that to gain stage down, but I think I enjoyed the volume that I got from this. Okay, so first thing we do is I'm just adding 0.5 with the Pro L. And I was trying to get it closer to 6 dB of headroom, and that was the whole reason I did that. And I don't mind doing it. I could have done it on the tracks, but I was feeling kind of lazy, so I just did it on the Pro L. Then we're going to break out the Camel Fattener. And you notice it'll open up a bit. And that's because I'm distorting it, so we're getting some upper harmonics. And this value is quite low, and same with this. I go from a blank, whenever I use this, I go from a blank template, turn up the tube and the tech, and then I start adjusting the volume and the mix knobs until I feel like I'm not adding too much volume or adding enough volume that I feel happy with, and then I'm done. And then Sausage Fattener's adding some thickness, but you notice it's not... Hold on. See, both of those, I turned it up by accident, but both those are at 0, so I'm literally just... And I turned this down by 0.5. And so I'm just kind of like trying to get it to blink on low sections and be consistent on high sections. And it's just kind of filling out that a little bit. And then we have the EQ, and this is just a basic EQ. I'm just cutting the sides, right? Then I got the second EQ, and now I'm really pushing this. And so I found, and we're in 3, so this is usually what Fat Filter looks like. It's like in 12 mode, but we're in 3 dB mode. So I'm only adding, that's a dB. That's half a dB. That's a dB 0.2. That's a little bit more than I usually do, but a dB is about as most as I'll add to a point on a master. And really, this track is mine, so I'm going a little bit more aggressive. But I found these sections from different drum sounds I liked. So I want to accentuate that, right? I want to accentuate this. Right? I want to accentuate this. And then I like what it kind of just super chopping up the back end of the rain sounds and stuff. Okay, another Sausage Fattener, just same thing. Minus 1 dB. Oh, whoops. Minus 1 dB. And now we're heading straight into C2. actually sidechaining. So the input, I'm basically telling the compressor ignore anything below 110, and that's just kind of to ignore any kick stuff that I added in volume with the sausage fattener and the compressors and stuff. But overall, with this last limiter, it's just a catch-all. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to save, hold on, let me save this. And I'm going to do this with you real quick. And we're going to steal the EQs that I used before. Hold on. And we're not going to use anything other than those EQs. Compressor and a Pro L1 and a L1. And we're going to start looking at the, oh, we already got a Swiss Army meter. So right now, still feels quiet to me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start working a compressor, a C1 between these two EQs. And I like the ratio to be 1.91. We want to turn the auto gain off. We want to come over here, make sure that we're oversampling, make sure these are on linear phase, our EQs. Turn the look ahead up on our compressor. I'm going for a dB or 2 of gain reduction. So maybe like -8. Just waiting for some more drums to come in. And so I just want to come over here and I'm going to add like 0.4. You can see the levels over here. So I just want to keep on adding gain until they're closer. I'm not trying to add gain with this compressor. I'm literally just trying to match it. And the auto feature will add too much volume in my opinion. It doesn't titrate it properly. So we went 2 dB too loud. Okay. Alright, cool. That's close enough. Within 2 or 3 dB, this one's a little quieter, but that's fine. Because we're going to deal with that later when we start adding stuff with this EQ, right? And then, so what we're going to come over here is we're going to do is, I want to do it again. I want to come over here and bring another compressor. Whoops. Come on. And this one I'm going to leave at 4. Auto gain off, look ahead on, oversampling on, look ahead all the way up. Now we're going to turn this all the way up, and now I'm looking for a solid 2 dB. Okay, there we go. Let's add this. These attack release values are set. Those are ones that are part of my preset. I just kind of like one being in the 25 and then the 200 to 250 range. But this first compressor we're going to work on, we're actually going to play around and we're going to roll this back somewhere into the 50 range. And I'll show you why. Check this out. We're going to pull this one somewhere into the 100 range. Let's go try 125. So you notice now we're actually adding volume, but we had set it with really fast, with a fast attack, just so we can make sure it sounded right, and then we can roll that back, and now we're getting a little bit more of the transients. Now we can kind of gain this back to maybe like 0.6, and it's all about working through these together. You know, it's not a set and forget thing. You're like trying to work these units Now we're going to talk about what we want to do with this. And so 2.9 is a lot. I want it closer to 2. So I like that, and I'm crunching a lot of it, but at the same time the look ahead's on and it's doing its job. And so now what I want to do is you can grab another. I like to go just for another compressor, so it could be something like K-clip, but I think today I'm just gonna go with L1. And I like to do this with L1. It's no attack, it's just a release, a threshold, and then a hard ceiling. So I set the hard ceiling at 0.1. I like to set the threshold at around 1.1, and then maybe I'll cheat it down if I really want it. And then I just leave it on auto release because I'm actually very confident. Like, you know, the auto gain in Pro C, I'm not the biggest fan of, but the auto release in L1, I'm actually a huge fan of. Let's see what our LUFs and our... Here, let me switch this. Our RMS and our True Peak are for this. So we're getting pretty close to 14. But I like to do 14 on the end. And I'm going to use a Max for Live plugin. So I want to do the same thing. I want to set the threshold at 1. I want to set the output at 0, or actually -0.1. And then I want the input to be 0. So you notice it's not doing much right now. Oh, because I set the threshold. I meant to set the threshold at -1. I apologize. So that's cool. And I'm going to bring a glue in here. And we're just going to work those a little bit. So I'm going to bring the threshold down to maybe 4. And I'm going to bring the output up to like I'll give it 1. And same with this. I'm going to go leave them here. And I want to go 10. Bring this, I'll bring them in a little bit tighter, and I'm gonna just touch this down. So I see the needle moving. I want to see only subtle movements from that needle. And it's kind of a softer way to hit the master. Because I go 1.91 to 1, 4 to 1, the next compressor. Then this is kind of a peak limiter, but I'm barely touching it. And it's got a release about 25 milliseconds, so it's kind of just catching peaks and stuff. Now this one, I'm getting a little bit of pull, so it's pulling back down, and it's pulling our volume back down. And now I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go to my limiter. Where are you? Just a Pro L, and just keep it super basic. I'd say I give it like 3 dB. And look, we're pretty close to 14. Sounding good. Probably closer to 2. Alright, so let's A/B the master I just made compared to the one that I made previously. So, oh, I already deleted it. Whatever. let's just A-B the see how the levels between the tracks don't change a lot. That was a lot of that was involved with kind of these two EQs as well as staging the volume that we add. So we add it in stages and we're compressing. This is serial compression. It's not parallel. This is all going A to B, into C, into D, into E, into F. And I find that's a really good way to get your volume up and not change your levels. I'm super happy with people who like find cool ways to use parallel compression, but I find if you're not careful with parallel compression, you'll completely throw the levels off in your mix, and that's like not the point. The point of mastering is trying to get it to work on different sound systems and distribution mediums like iPod headphones, crappy headphones from 7-Eleven, hi-fi systems, studio speakers, iPhone speakers, laptop speakers, Bluetooth speakers. I feel like that, to me, is the point of mastering. The mixdown is get the song as good as you can get it, in the right dynamic range that you're happy with, and then go look into getting it louder. Mastering is about making it more loud more often. It's not about just like cranking it up for no reason. It's about the fact that our ears enjoy louder music, and that's understood, and our ears even enjoy a song that is more loud more often compared to another song that peaks and has a similar RMS. But if you look at the average LUFS, for example, if it's a little bit higher across the track, like let's say both of them peak at the same value, but maybe some of them are sitting a little bit higher in that realm. The track that sits higher tends to be preferred, and that's just our ears kind of like that consistency from a certain dynamic range. So think about that when you're mastering. But I brought this up old school style, like how I always like to do it when I'm trying to get basically no change in the mix level, but get to 14 LUFS. And just kind of roll it up slowly. Just keep on bringing it up super slowly, super slowly. Get the same levels, making sure that the compression and the style of things that I'm working with on it are fine. That other master I had, I'm not going to save it because it is, it's a little too loud. I like this one a lot more. It feels cleaner. Alright, thank you very much. And remember, I'm picking 14 LUFS because I like to talk about my mastering in regards to Spotify, because I feel like a lot of people ask me about that. You can, if you find out that you're making Moombatone and all the Moombatone tracks on Spotify are not at negative 14 LUFS, they're somewhere in the negative 6 LUFS range, then put your track on Spotify at negative 6 LUFS. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Alright, thank you very much.